far are they going to move? Look at the camera.
Okay, so we're starting to learn Kofetz Vaerah. I think we'll start with Rav Tzaddok. We'll start doing a little Rav Tzaddok on Kofetz Vaerah. So the first thing that I want to learn about is, of course, the Makkos, a lot of which are in our parasha. And the Makkos, the Svarim say that the Makkos gave a or, so the princess gave a or to the Jewish people as they hit the Zitrachar, and it's the beginning of the Makkos hitting the Klippa. The Makkos hit the Klippa and hit the negative, the negativity, the problem, these sort of the force of evil, it hit them, but it gave us a lot of or. And I just want to mention the hitting it. Really, the Arizal says that these Makkos, every woman has to go through these Makkos before she gives birth. He says, he doesn't explain necessarily all of them. He goes through, I think, 4 out of the 10. He says, first, the dam, there's a lot of blood that happens there. We'll get there in a minute. And then Safra Dea means that she sort of, Safra means she sings, trills out, sings out. Did Safra Ayin, is that she calls out 70 kolos, like the Zohar says. The Lamatzech Yancha alludes to the 70 kolos. And we know that spiritually speaking, whenever you want to make something new and actualize, you also have to go through an aspect of birth. And in general, we know that whatever, the higher something is, and the higher potential of something in the physical world, the more the other side grabs a hold of it and gets it. So we know that, for example, when a person is not supposed to just sit around, so it's very healthy for you to sweat. Sweat is very, very, very healthy. We know that a person sweating for a mitzvah, for a tzarech mitzvah, it fixes the hardest sins. Based Kinim, a person sweats, right? It's brought by the reapings. We'll see, by Shabbos, praying for Shabbos, and by making matzos, and all the things you're doing for mitzvahs. Sweat is very, very high. But we know that sweat is something that gives mazon to the other side. It goes to the other side. Sweat. The Gemara says any sweat except for sweat on the person's face is it's death. It's always, at least spiritually, it's very, very negative. You're not supposed to imbibe your sweat in general. It doesn't damage the sweat from your it's supposed to be, it's an excess that's supposed to be excreted. It's supposed to be brought out. Again, it's very healthy. It's very good. It has a lot of positive potential. And the Ramak explains on Peter Zohar also the same thing. The Zohar says that the Jewish people were like a woman in her blood in Mitzrayim. So this is, what does that mean, in her blood? Well, it doesn't matter if she's in her blood or not. To the Maisa, by the Isur Nidah, it doesn't make a difference where she's holding. It's the same difference, the same keri, so whatever happens until she goes to the mikveh and has however many days she's supposed to have. So the Ramak says that the aspect is the same idea, that the aspect of the blood, the flowing of the blood, that's this aspect. That's when they get, because there's a tremendous potential for bringing a child there. It's the same thing when there's anything extraneous that's already, going through a cycle, getting finished. So that's something where the Zitrach gets its achiza from. So during birth, when there's blood coming out, so that's something they have an achiza on. You have to overcome them. So we have this bechina of there's tremendous weakness and the tremendous difficulty. The person has just to go through all these different things. The same thing with the crying out, all the kolos also. A person you want to actualize and give birth to something good and meaningful, well, you have to cry out. You have to go through this kind of labor pangs and work very hard to change. The person has to change. Generally speaking, they don't change unless they're under pressure. That's just the way Hashem made us. Usually otherwise, whatever. And like Hashem sends the right pressure, exactly the right way, exactly in the right manner. In Uman, they would always say, when people would say, I think you need this, you need that. So Uman, they would say, I think you should work on, you have your own personally tailored Yetzer Hara, that's your job. Mine is actually my job, so I think you should probably put your efforts on your own. It's like the old story the old word they used to say in yeshivas. Guy says, okay, you want to say the Torah, and then the guy's like, you say I'll break it. And they had another nusach of that one, which is like a guy, so Musa say the mashgiach comes over and knew, so when you learn Musa, he's like, I don't know, I don't learn, so learning Musa is not my thing, but I'm good at giving Musa. It's like very nice. You can, you give the ethical direction, but you have to also, figure out for yourself. And that brings us, of course, to the Baditchever. The Baditchever, he said, I wanted to change the whole world when I was younger. And I saw that, wow, the whole world, moving the world is it's just too much. So I figured my country at least. He said, then nobody's, nobody's reacting to whatever I might do or try. Any efforts are meaningless. They have no ineffectual. They're not doing anything. She's like, okay, so I'll change my city. He's like, nothing. So then I figured, all right, at least my family. He's like, also nothing. So finally, I like, you know what? He realized the one thing I can change is myself. He said he changed himself, and he started noticing that his family's changing, and the city is changing, and the world, and the country's changing. That's what you should do, and then you're able to help other people. You're able to get to other people. Rav Naftali in Amsterdam would say why. He asked Arizal, he's like, what do I do when I'm trying to give people over a direction and help them and help them grow? And it's like not making an impression. It's like, how do you help them? I don't understand. Is there something? Is there like what's the angle here? Like, they're not receptive. So he said, I don't understand. Why are you looking at them? It means your Yiras Shamayim is lacking because just because Yiras Shamayim, your words are heard. A person will hear in their heart if you don't have it. If you don't have this, I forgot which one it was. Who it was? One of the Gedolei Olam. I think it was Rav Tzaddok Vaerah, maybe. He went to this Russian person in charge of education or something. They were trying to think about the Vaerah. Even then, they weren't yet, they didn't yet make an absolute decree of what they need to learn, what they don't need to learn. And he spoke, and the Russian guy was like, I don't understand what he said, but I feel the care. He really he made an impression, even though he didn't understand a word he said in the translation. I hear his pain. I hear it. He got what he needed to get. So anyway, those are the two makkos that it talks about, and then the other two makkos it talks about is choshech makkos bechoros. It says the vlad goes through a certain choshech, an extra choshech, towards the end of before birth, and then the makkos bechoros is in order to give birth, you have to kill the bechor of the other side. You have to break through. You have to break the klipa on the other side in order to get out, because otherwise they want to kill you. So it's like live or live or die. Basically, you live or live or that's the way it works. It's either kill or be killed. That's it. That's the way it works. So you have to be zoch. And all the makkos in between. Also, there were different beginnes of the or that Jewish people we got. And we broke the klipas. We broke through. and We broke out, and in every aspect, in every level. So while we're on the topic of the makkos, so the first thing we have to understand is, of course, we know, like Rashi says, that there were a couple of makkos that Moshe Rabbeinu didn't do himself because of a curse of tov. Rashi mentions, right? You have Dam and Tzvadeh, the ones that have to do with the Nilus, with the Nile, because the Nile helped him and he was a baby. In a special way, he was on a level. He didn't want to make something negative effect. It's some kind of negative effect on the Nile. The Mizrahi there right away says also Kinim, like Rashi says, because he was able to bury the mitzvah. So, and the Ri actually says that mitzvah that he killed made a tremendous tikkun, made a very big tikkun, made a big rectification, and did a very specific thing. So what happened was that Moshe Rabbeinu didn't do these makkos. So we have to learn to have hakaras hatov. And I forgot who it was. It was one of the people who had a Shabbos Chofetz Chaim. So he was in this camp during World War I think it was. He was in this camp, and in this camp there was like a working camp. You had to do work for the war effort, whatever it was, and you got out once a week or once every 2 weeks, whatever it was. And he had two different people who were a supervisor for his, maybe even the whole camp, I'm not really sure. But two people who were above, and one of them was a Jew, and he was very anti-religious, and he made people a lot of trouble with religion. And another was a non-Jew, a guy. But he was actually very sympathetic, especially for religious needs. Jewish people, he tried to help them. He even tried to, maybe get them off on Shabbos if possible. He was really sympathetic, really good guy. So, the Chofetz Chaim was well known. By World War I, he was well known as being one of even the non-Jews. Everybody knew this man was a very holy man, right? So, when this non-Jewish supervisor said, "So what are you taking off?" When you're off there, he said, "I want to go Shabbos. I'm going to go to Radin." So everyone knew Radin. What's in Radin? Radin was like a hick town. I don't even know how many people lived there. It was a really run-down place. The only thing they had there was like the yeshiva of Chofetz Chaim. That was about it. And it was a very small community. It wasn't a big. I don't know how long you had to travel to a train station from Radin. It was like a long ride. It wasn't nobody was going to put a train station in Rodden. But anyway, actually, it's like really like this little hick town. So this Najee right away under the supervisor, like, oh, for sure he's going to the Chofetz Chaim. So he said, please get me a blessing from the Kofetz Kaim. He couldn't say the Ches. He said, tell the Kofetz Kaim, get me a please. We don't have children. He doesn't have children. This Najee, he's like, tell him I want to have a bracha. So they went together to the. He went together. He went to Rad for Shabbos and he went to say hello to the Chofetz Chaim. So he told them, by the way, there was a supervisor. He's really good to all the Jewish people. He helps as much as possible. He's really sympathetic. He's trying to help. And the Chofetz Chaim was very inspired. Like, oh wow, if he helps the Yidden there, we really have to help him. Tell him I'm going to daven for him, and Hashem will help. We'll have a child. And he said when he stayed with Shabbos, and after Shabbos he came on Sunday morning to all the way to leave. He said, the Chofetz Chaim, he said he didn't even mention it. Again, he said, remember, don't forget to tell that supervisor, I will down for him, and if you don't call kavod, all his efforts, whatever you like, mamish, you have a karsatov. A person have to work on feeling a real karsatov, and really a real understanding. So that's really what the Makkos are about. So the Makkos have to do with each of us. We all have, again, I think Kiva goes through all of them, how they are and what they are, and really there are like most of the ways of going through it. But the reality is that there's 10 different aspects in every person. There's 10 aspects in every person, and we all have to use these aspects for Avodas Hashem. And we can all use them well or not use them well. And it's totally our choice. So when we use them properly the way they ought to be used, so what we do is we're elevating these elements. We're doing what we're supposed to do. We're breaking the negative the side of bad. We're overcoming the negativity and bad things. And when we don't use them properly, so then we're misusing them. So it's getting all... we're doing the opposite, unfortunately. That's the bottom line of what these 10 Makkos are. So, when you go from below to above, you have the bechina that's called the dam. Right, dam is the bechina that's called Makkos. The bechina that's called Tosh Shabbat Peh. Right, Malchus. The bechina is called Malchus. The bechina is called Malchus. Malchus. Right, this aspect of taking on the yoke of heaven, all Mach Shemayim, connected to Hashem. That's the beginning of Dam. It's Torah Shabbat Peh. You have to. Again, we know you have to use your koach. You have to use your kochos. Dam is also means efforts. You shedding your blood. He's like shedding his blood on it. Or dam is also a relation of money, damim, because it's a lot of effort involved. You're putting you're working hard on something. That's this aspect that's called this bechina of the dam, and that's the element. That's one of the ways of understanding the element of what's called malchus. And then you have the bechina that's called svardeya. Svardeya is more the bechina that's called yisod. And we spoke a little bit about this, and we'll probably speak a little bit more about it in the command of what is this yisod. This bechina is called foundation. But it basically the idea is a person has to be zoche. Svardeya, the Zohar says svardeya, like the Rebbe Nachman brings, this aspect of having this ability for movement, that you can move. You realize that what I do makes a difference, and you're able. It's like prepares you for movement. You can hop around, as it were. You get things happening. You get this daya. So for daya, this aspect of this, the bechina of it's like a bird in a way. You want to be able to move. You want to find your wings and move spiritually. In order to do that, you have to know that what I do counts and makes a difference. I'm creating paris. That's the aspect called for daya. Again, when you're in a place that's negative. So negativity. So a person he's dissatisfied. He's in a bad place. He's running after money with the dam. And Tzfadeh, of course, he's doing the opposite. Also, he's in a place where everything becomes a very important, a focus for him for things that are not so. He's jumping here. He's jumping there. He's going here. He's going there. He's in a place of lashon hara. He's in a place of negative stuff. He's not. He gets inspired. He feels movement from things that shouldn't give him movement. Like he should be working against these things, and he's not. He's in the place of lashon hara. He's in the place of whatever he is. It's not so good. So that's the bechina that's called tzfadeya. Then you have the bechina that's called kinim. Right? Kinim is hod. Kinim is hod. You have this aspect that's called hod. Hod means either admitting or praise, and you can use this for positive things and good things. When you admit, when you make a mistake, when you're able to praise Hashem, but give proper praise to the people the way you should and how you should.
How is Kinim hod?
Okay, wait. We'll see. But again, there are 10. The 10 Makkos represent the 10 bechinos of the spheres. So I didn't say how Kinim is hod yet, but it's the way Rav Tzaddok goes. Yeah, it goes from order from Dam. All the Ten Makkos Bechoros is bechinos Keser.
So it's starting from Malchus.
So you started from Malchus, exactly, which is Dam, then it's for there, and then Kinim is the Bechin of Hod. So we'll get in a second of what that is and how that is. But the inyan of the Hod, it becomes this eternal, itch, I guess, but like bother when you're misusing Hod, and you want someone else to admit to you, or you want praise, or it becomes something which is, it's unbearable. It's an unbearable thing. That's why Nachman says when a person is looking for covet, he says you have a guy, he's running around raising money all day. He said, but at a certain point he's done. 9 p.m., 10 p.m., 11 p.m. The shtiblach, it's even not everyone is like Moshe 12. He's done. He can sleep now till 7 a.m. or however long he sleeps. 5 hours. Let's see, depending on the right. Okay, he sleeps. He can go home. He's done. Right? Covet, you're never done. Which always I need to admit that I needed to show that I mean something. It's this thing which is, it's pervasive. That's the negative. And that's when you're able to use cover properly, that's when you throw all the negativity out. It helps you overcome the negativity. It breaks the negativity. It breaks the klipa. The minute a person has hold the right way, so he's in a pretty good place. He's in a pretty good position. So another minute, I'll tell you something about Tanya with the netzach that I always like to say. I'll say it in a minute. So then you have the bechina, then after kinim, right, you have orov. Right? Orov is netzach. That means victory. You want to win. You have to be very robust. You have to move through it. You have to use a tremendous strength, almost an animal strength, maybe you could even say. You have to get through, you have to fight through. But you have to do it for the right things, not for the wrong things. I don't want to defeat you. I don't want to beat you. I want to show you. I want to win over the Yetzer Hara. Again, like I was saying before, you can't, you have to work on your Yetzer Hara. You can work on someone else's Yetzer Hara. I mean, it's really easy. You have no resistance, no problem. But it doesn't have any meaning. You work on someone else's Yetzer Hara. You have to work on your Yetzer Hara. That's why it's difficult. We have to learn how to overcome it. So that's this bechina. It's called netzach. And of course, the Baal Tanya would say netzach is also, it's brought also from Nassim this idea. Also, it's brought, I think, in the Ramak as well, that you have the bechina that's called netzach and hod. The two are 2 feet, like the Ri says, right? And the Zohar says, right? The 2 feet that you can't stand on one. Because the aspect of netzach hod means admitting. If you want to come to the right eitzah, get the right strategy, you have to admit what's going to hold you back and kind of get rid of it. Like, for example, you want to get up early for Shabbos, right? But I don't know, I keep going to sleep before in the morning, I can't seem to get up. I don't know what it is. If you can't get to this place of like, if I don't hang out with so-and-so and schmooze so-and-so, whatever, until 4 a.m., maybe I'll make this month for Kriyashma, maybe not, whatever I hope, but like Shabbos at 7, forget it. Sleep at 1, 2 maybe, that's it. 4, it's over, like it's done. So if I hang out with whoever, I do this or I do that, I'm just not going to make it. Or I'll be grumpy all day. If you don't see the problem, you're not going to find the solutions. It's like those two are really, they're 2 legs. They sort of stand together because you can't. One works only with the other one. There are 2 aspects. You have the right type of aspect of hod, the right type of aspect of admitting, and also praising and seeing what's laudable to do and what's not laudable to do, and being able to use them both together. That's the bechina, right? So that's the bechina that's called kinim, right? Or sorry, then dever is the aspect that's called tiferes. Right, so what's Tiferes? Tiferes is different ways of looking at Tiferes. One way of looking at Tiferes is just that it's looking for emes, looking for the truth. Now, the problem with the truth is that it's a plague, because when you put your truth on somebody else, you have to do things my way. So what you're doing is you are taking. He has his own truth. So there are certain things that are objective truths, right? We all understand. That's an example. Torah, of course, but it's not just. No, for sure. But we all understand that there are certain things that are just true, and that any normal person would see as true. So it's childish to say, the way I see it, this and this and this and that, there's another thing, and not to take responsibility for what's really happening.
There's always a counter argument there.
No, exactly. You can always make an argument, but there are certain things that are pretty much objective, pretty clear. But like
killing is wrong.
Bad to kill somebody.
Murder is wrong.
Whatever. It's not just that. It's not just that. It's people that can say things, and when you get to the bottom of it, you start to realize that that's just an excuse. You don't really mean that. You don't really think that. No one really thinks that. No one really thinks that way. So, sometimes the person's in a place where he's in the falsehood he doesn't even see. You have to be very careful with truth. When you apply truth to somebody else and try to put your truth on someone else, you're really not making a ticket very often. Usually you're not trying to help the person. You're trying to, I want mastery. I'm in charge. like, what are you? Why are you in charge? You're right. It's right. It's wrong. You have to be very careful when to say and how to say and what way to say. It's very easy to mess this. This is a very easy thing to really drop the ball with. You know, you can even be saying something that's true, but you have to know how to say it and when to say it and what to say. And not only that, but truth is also for yourself. Sometimes truth is very, very negative. It can kill you. You see something that's true, you really, really get it. And it's like, wow, I have so much to work on. It's so hard. Anyway, so Slanta would say, a person who wants to be better. Nachman also says a similar thing. He's a marshal. In a second, but the person who wants to change. And when I change this midah, my anger, my this, my that. So how do I change the midah? How do I go about changing? How do I go about transforming myself and being better? So, you know, he said, the more you're working on it, the more you notice the problem. But that doesn't mean you did worse. It just means you're seeing the problem now and you're slowly changing it. But if a person starts to say, this is very normal, say, wow, I'm so completely soiled with this problem, you'll never get anywhere, you'll give up. So that's not positive. You're not as the marshal of the pot. You say, pot, you boil it up. It's dirty water, you boil it up. And suddenly the water looks really dirty, but you're cleaning it. That's how to clean it. That's the process. If you don't see that there's a process to clean it, you're never going to get anywhere, right? So that's the of this midah. So we have this bechina, we have this of the dever. You have to be very careful. The person says you can truth right now. That's what Nassim says. Sometimes you have to throw truth out, because if truth distances you from Hashem, forget about the truth right now. I can't handle this thing right now. This midah I can't deal with it. So don't deal with it. Wait. You know, it's like Rav Tzaddok would say. He'd say, "There's nothing as straight as a crooked ladder." In other words, sometimes you need the ladder it'll fit exactly the right way. Your old ladder, you know how to work it, it's very steady. So the person thinks it's absolute truth. That's totally not the truth. You kill him. You try to help his media. You destroy the guy. You ruin his day. You ruin his year. Who knows what you did? And it's some stupid remark or some stupid what? I'm thinking what are you doing? You're just you're like Rav said. He said you have to be a chacham to build someone else, to help, to figure out how to do. That's chachma. He said to break. You take the biggest idiot, completely uncivilized loser, some criminal. He can break, no problem. Take his crowbar, break to pieces. Very easy to break. To build is very hard. That's you have to have the way of how to building, right? So that's this bechina that's called. Right, that's this bechina that's called Tiferes, emes, using the emes right, and then you have the bechina that's called the shchin. Right, it's a kind of a plague. It can make a person disabled and make him unable to do anything, unable to get where he's supposed to get. The chitzonis can be destroyed. You have to be very, very careful to know what it's mamish. It's a shver zach. You have to be very careful how to deal with it. Then you have another kind of thing, which is also this kind of difficulty, which is gvura. How to use gvura is very not simple. If you don't use any gvura, you're not going to get anywhere. But gvura has to be the right way, the right possibility. But you use gvura, it's on somebody else. What about me? Isur Nidah Kofetz Cham. That's a gvura. To have a gibor on someone else, to be a jerk, to be I had a bad day. Again, this is the same thing we said before. Everyone knows, so you had a bad day, so what? You don't have to act like an idiot to somebody else. He didn't make your bad day. It's no, I really had a bit. It doesn't matter. We all know it doesn't matter. So you're at fault. Okay, so I'm going to try my best. And again, if it's wow, I was so bad, and they're devastated, it's also not the way. You have to connect to Hashem. You have to use the means to connect to Hashem. Fine. So that's the beginning again. This is the rules. You have to be careful. You have to use it properly. You're breaking the tzarach. If not, you have this problem of messed up rule. Same with the person's brother. And then Bard is the aspect of chesed. Right, Bard is the aspect of chesed. Kindness also is kind of a two-edged sword. You have to be very, very careful with kindness, because kindness has the power to build and has also the power to break to pieces. To be very, very careful to know how to use kindness, how to use kindness the right way, how to use kindness. What's called right kindness, what's called the wrong kind of kindness, and this person you're doing kindness, and it's not helping the person at all. You want to help someone. How do you help? The question is, how do I really help someone? Tell him, oh, you're right. It's all good. And he's not so right. It's not going to help him. Sometimes you have to mix in the gvura there. So again, when you have a misused kindness, you're breaking things to be. It's barred. It's terrible destruction. Fire, ice. You just completely, because the person doesn't know. You're enthusiastic. You're not enthusiastic. You're cold. It's all mixed up. It's not the way it ought to be. And when you do it the right way, you have the right balance. So you're breaking the tzarach with these bechinas. Right. So the last three you have Arbe, Choshech, and Becheres. Those are the three Becheres that are on the Mochins. So this is Arbe is a Bechina, it's called Bina. Right? A Bechina is called Bina because the aspect of the Arbe, the Kamsa, person, you have to understand one thing from the other and be able to. Again, this is this aspect of the flying around. You have to be able to navigate things properly. And when you're able to navigate things properly, the way they want to bring, you're able to destroy the Sitra Achra entirely. Right? Destroy all the fields, everything the way you're supposed to do. When you don't, you get messed up. You misuse Bina, you understand one thing from the other in the wrong way. You're misusing this capacity in order to, see, he hates me. That's why. People have this this make-believe story in their head, and it's not really true. Everyone has their difficult times. Everyone has their difficult moments, and have to be able to deal with it, and have to be able to bring it up. And use it right, not to understand. Everyone has it's our day, it's fine. You try to be like I always say from Ron Bell's a very beautiful idea that he would learn. He said, I like to learn Pilpul, even though it's very, very subtle, nuanced, multi-nuanced ways of learning. You can misconnect things, because it's so subtle, he said, because sometimes you have to understand another Jew's motivation. It can be a little, you know what I mean? You have to really plumb the depths. Like, what was he thinking there? Well, maybe he would try to find the mitzvahs. It's very not easy to find. So that was the Bechina that's called Arba. And Choshech is Chachma. The Ramak says Choshech is Chachma. And Chachma is so high, it's very hard. You can't express it. You can't really tell someone else when you're in a place of Chachma. It's being about yourself to Hashem. You have to, again, use it in the right way. A person can get to his bittul and he has to bring it back and actualize it. Bring something down with it. Somehow, at least the simcha Rebbe says, some simcha, something, some chiddush, something. Otherwise you're in a bittul and you're chachma and it's sort of make-believe. It's not real. If you want it real, it has to be actualized in some manner. To be able to at least hold on to it. And then Bechoros, of course, is Bechina of
How do you
Keser.
do that?
That's a very, very good question. So the Cherini Rav says, and I think it might be Rav Nosson himself, could be clear also, that you have to do a lot of bittuls to really figure out how to get it. It's not easy. It's like tshuva. You do tshuva on tshuva, but you're not doing tshuva on tshuva. Doing one tshuva takes a lot of tshuvas. One real tshuva takes a lot of tshuvas. So we did the Gemara, right? The Chaim Belashon says tshuva is easy. You just regret you didn't do it. Sorry, and that's a level of tshuva. Complete tshuva is like the Ramak says. So to get to that complete tshuva, you have to keep doing tshuva and tshuva and tshuva and tshuva. Till Hashem can testify that you're not going to fall in at least at this moment. Again, here. So Rav Nosson says that the way you're going to be able to balance and have the right physic and connection to Hashem is by learning a lot, especially halacha. That's what he says. Every halacha is another way of connecting to Hashem, another way of balancing. We know, of course, halacha is gematria hakli, because that's the vessel for holding all the good things. And diminishes would say, when a person's learned a lot, he said, I'm okay with it. Learning deeper things is good. He said, otherwise, you have to be very careful to know. It's kedai to hold the halacha is very important. Posting is very powerful, very important. And that's because this is a little bit longish. I didn't tell you everything he said, just like a little bit, but that's very big kitzur of the Ten Sefiros and how they connect a little bit to the Ten Makkos. That's where Kesser is the Ratzon. So it's Bechor takes a double portion. It's stronger. That's where Bechor. We know Bechor is like in a way the highest aspect. So you break the Bechor of Klipa. That's what I said from the beginning from Nari. That the aspect of the Bechor when you want to get something actualized. Again, Nari says that the aspect of a chas v'shalom miscarriage, a person has the same thing, miscarriage of justice, right? The same thing, a person has a miscarriage because he's not able to actualize. He has these plans and they don't come to fruition at all, and they should. So it's like he dropped the ball, he fumbled the ball. That's this aspect. He wants to actually give birth, and you have to break the break the klipa in order to actually make something happen the way it's supposed to happen. So that's a little bit about the Ten Makkos and the Tzaddok on Parshas Bo. Do you mind starting it, please? Thank you very much. I'll do